Hello and good afternoon. My name is Martin Coward, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour, where we have been gathering every day, almost for over a year now, to love and support each other in this virtual sanctuary through all of the crises and the drama in the world we've been going through, particularly the pandemic. And all of the things that have come out of that. And Lord, I'm so grateful that we've had this space to be together to take care of one another and to nurture one another and to love each other and to share our truth, share our stories, share our victories. And this week, I'm especially excited to be, well, this whole month. Oh, there's my friend Audrey. Hey, Audrey, how are you doing today? Good to see you and glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. We're just announcing everything. I've got my dear friend Colleen Garvey, who's a Sufi healer, talk about how we can transform our shadow, what she calls our lead, the things that hold us back, the things that block us keep us from being free to live our lives fully and find what she calls the gold. So I'm going to step back in just a second, and we're going to let Colleen share some of her story, how she got here. And the idea is, because this month, what we're saying is we're celebrating women in the month of March. We're celebrating women, extraordinary women who are doing ordinary things to inspire us and change our lives. So I thought Colleen would be a great candidate for that conversation, because that's what she does. And I don't, as a Christian mystic and contemplative, I don't know many Sufis. Sufi mystics. And so now I'm really excited to have a Sufi mystic healer on our show today to share what we all do, but hearing it a little differently from a Sufi perspective, which I think is going to be exciting for everyone today here. Because, the truth is, in America, we don't know a lot about the Islamic faith. And so any opportunity I think we have to learn and get some insight into that love and that healing, we're really all very fortunate to have that. So, again, if you're joining us please type into the chat. Let me know you're here. Just say hello, like Audrey just did, so that I know that you're here. Otherwise, I just see a number on the screen. It's always nice to know who you are. We'll take a stop. We'll take a short break and just say hello to you. Also, we like this to be interactive. So please, if you have some questions or comments, please put them into the chat, and we'll address them. Either I will or Colleen will. So that's encouraged, because we like to have a dialogue here, instead of just me pontificating all the time. So that's enough said by me today. Colleen, welcome to Noonday Meditations, and I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's hear about what it is to be a Sufi healer in the world today.
It's interesting, as I was hearing you do an introduction, how like some of the language that we use has changed over the years in my work. Like I I started out, I think I would say, like the trajectory of how I landed here in a conscious way started probably about 36 years ago. Like I had a drinking problem, drug problem. I put it away. I got sober, and I ended up reading what most people who know about Alcoholics Anonymous would know as the book, the big book. And when I picked that up, there was a chapter in it on for agnostics, and I had kind of lost all faith and really lost my way, and reading that chapter on the agnostics began a very conscious, a new consciousness, like to sort of, I did understand that I was living a life that I shouldn't be living, that came to a bottom, and the reason I stopped was because my heart couldn't take it anymore. My spiritual heart couldn't take it anymore. Physically, I could probably go on a bunch of years more, but I was fairly young. But my heart could not take it anymore, and sort of asked for help in a way. And that was one of the first introductions into a path. Not that I knew where it was going; it was just like something to hold on to. I sort of stayed in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's part of my recovery. It's part of my life today, and so that's just kind of a foundation from which I launched. And I was actually a mechanical inspector for years, and I was working in factories, and like came to, after I got sober, I was like, oh, how can I do this? I thought I would die. My spirit was just like, if I do this, I'm dying here. So I ended up figured out in some way, and actually I had a little secret in my heart that I wanted to help people, but because I was such a mess, that secret could not be spoken. So I ended up finally being able to speak it, and went to therapy, and got my master's degree in clinical social work, and started working. And so I began to sort of move toward what felt like something I was supposed to do. I no longer felt like I was going to die. I felt like, okay, this is the right path for me. And so both between, getting sober and Alcoholics Anonymous, and getting an education and becoming a social worker, I felt I was like on the right path, and I enjoyed the educational experience. I went through many years of psychoanalytic training, like 10 years of psychoanalytic training, and I became a psychoanalyst. I had people on the couch, and there was something, I was a little bit rebellious through that process because they wanted me to write a dissertation, and everything in me said no. If I just knew that if I wrote the dissertation, I was going to become more like them. And there was something that was missing in their work. Like, I really liked the exploration. I liked the process, but I did not like the intellectual stuff of it. It kind of got in the way for me. And so I didn't do the dissertation. So there's something always in it about, there's a self-understanding that I needed to sort of stay true to myself in what worked best for me. So I did that work for like 10 years or so. And I started to feel like I'd gone as far as I can, and I'd taken my patients as far as I could. And it felt like it became a place where both I was asking for, my patients were asking for more. And I felt like I didn't have more to offer. I didn't have more to give. And I felt like too many of my patients were getting medications. I was uncomfortable with that. So I decided, what can I do to help my patients, around this? So I ended up going to acupuncture school, and it was an amazing new vista into how humans experience the world, Taoism and such. So I brought that into my practice. And so some of my patients, that's kind of how I work with my patients. And I started to feel like a much broader understanding of what needed to come into the healing process for myself and for my clients. There was not a separation in it. I couldn't, part of what happens is that my clients would sort of signal in me and resonate something in me that I also had to ask some questions about. And that's what I did. I didn't just pretend. I would just sort of try to find a way to sort of understand better for myself and for my clients. And so I went to mentorships, and I, got involved with alchemical healing, where I used all kinds of flower essences and use Jungian work versus Freudian work, and brought in tarot cards and used archetypes and used mythology and all kinds of things to sort of raise the resonances of who we are and all the representatives in our hearts that need sort of voice, and the things that we carry, and I needed to bring mine out too. So did a lot of work with archetypes and things that are working on more of an energetic level, the level of the heart, where we're looking for resonances to help us speak and become what I believe the blueprint that was sent down for us to become.
Let's take a pause here and let's welcome Mary Ann Kirksey Dykes to our show today. Mary Ann and I grew up in Southwest Georgia, Albany, Georgia together. Mary Ann, it's so nice to see you joining us today. I'm so glad you're here, and just to pop in, it's just a delight to see one of my hometown friends on our Facebook live show. So we have a guest, Colleen Garvey, today. She's a Sufi healer among many things, but right now she's just sharing her story of how she got there. So let's get back to the story. And Mary Ann, thank you so much for joining. Have any questions? Please feel free to ask us. Okay.
Yeah, I'm open to questions. So I also sort of went into an alchemical mentorship, healing mentorship via the acupuncture world, and I met.
I don't know if you see the comments, but we just we want to always welcome our guests because that's why we're here. So we want to welcome them. So Daryl, again, thank you so much for joining us today, and glad you're here. And we've got Colleen Garvey talking with us, and if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll be glad to answer them for you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Martin. So through some of my training in acupuncture, I met another teacher who happened to be Sufi, and I didn't know she was a Sufi, but she did a healing on me, and I happened to sort of carry a lot of grief in my life. I had some trauma. I lost a sister. I lost a couple sisters in a way, and I carried a lot of grief. And through that Sufi healing, it was really removed, so deeply removed. And it was like I was walking around after that feeling like something's missing. It was like something was really lifted off of me. It was very odd to be without that. I didn't realize how much of it I carried, and then to be free of it was a remarkable experience. So I need to know more about that. I need to know how I can deliver that kind of service. How do we do this? So,
yeah, if it works for you, it can work for others. Let me see who I can learn how to.
Right.
The whole point of it, through AA, through everything, once we get the gift, we want to share it with others. So so you finally got this gift from this woman. Yeah. And now you're in the place to share it with others. It sounds
yes. Like. So she was my healer, and now she's my teacher, and one of my teachers. And that's what I feel like. Anybody, it's one of those things that anybody can do. Like, it's one of those things that if you just, if you practice it, it's something that anybody really can do. There's nothing fancy or special about it. If you sort of open your mind and open your heart to it, and I think anybody can do that. So that's the beautiful thing about it, is that I can actually sort of help another person bring it home, and they can have it for themselves. And it doesn't have to be years and years of psychoanalysis or psychotherapy. It can happen it's a much faster, deeper way. There's a difference between getting better and healing. And that's kind of the road and the map that I want to sort of follow and understand more and bring to my clients, that and for my own benefit as well. So, and one of the things that I kind of practice, it's I don't like the name of it. It's again, the language begins to be odd when you're talking about this kind of stuff. It's kind of like I go to the sort of the me first school of healing, where I first make sure that I've been fed, that I've been taken care of, and I can transmit that to another person. If I'm coming from emptiness, how can I what do I have to offer? So to sort of, make sure that I'm grounded, that I am spiritually fit, that I'm doing my practices to help me sort of offer something. So, and I sort of went into a school of spiritual healing. I spent a couple of years on, and with Sufis they're like Jedis. What they do is amazing, and the love that's there, and the kindness there, and the modeling of kindness, and they carry a deep politeness that I believe this world needs, and most of us don't really that has to be modeled and it has to be transmitted so that we can actually feel what it's like to be in the presence of somebody with deep politeness, deep politeness.
I love that. I love that idea of deep politeness. That's a wonder. I never heard that frame, but I think you're spot on. And I just want to say that, jump in here just for a second and say, well, I really admire what I'm hearing. When I think it's so desperately needed in so many different ways in our world today is when you add, I heard a podcast called Spiritual Selling, and that was a strange way to put things. What she was promoting was the idea of selling from our highest spiritual potential, from our highest spiritual self of love and truth. And so when we sell, we're all selling something. You're selling a service. I'm selling. We're always selling something. That's what we are. Whether it's a product or a service, we're always selling. And if we sell from the highest potential within ourselves, like when you clear all our own garbage, it's not we're not selling for me to make money. I'm selling to make a difference in your life. And if we're in the world of either, I was in the world of finance, and what I found so often was we were trying to solve internal conflicts with external solutions like financial plans. And I had the same situation, and it didn't work because what people really wanted was they wanted to be free of that conflict within them about not having enough, which is an emotional conflict. And I think the same thing is true, at least for me. In my case, I had a sort of a typical psychotherapist that I went through for years, and it became I really became frustrated with it because it was like he wasn't hearing me when I'm talking about spiritual moments, and he would almost like roll his eyes at me, which I thought was a little condescending, quite frankly. It's a mystic. I thought that was condescending. So I got rid of him, and then I hired a Christian mystic, kind of like you're a Sufi mystic. She's a Christian mystic, contemplative, and it had that spiritual foundation. She was bringing me her service from a deep-rooted spiritual foundation of truth and love, and everything. And now she's someone that I rely on tremendously for guidance, and she helped me through my dark night of the soul. So I'm just bringing this up because I want to emphasize that you're really onto something here. I mean, you know it, but I want the people listening to know that that's why it's so exciting to me to have someone. I mean, I know a number of Christian mystics and Christian contemplatives. That's the world I live in. But to hear from the eyes and the ears of a Sufi mystic or a Sufi healer, and use a word like just politeness, just being just genuinely polite, and that means I'm just so genuinely respectful of other people, and I'm here to serve you. And that's what I'm hearing in your story. Somebody's got a question. Let's see what I came across a beautiful quote about being on hand and compassion. It's a mem form, so I have to transcribe it. Okay, well, poke it on, push it on here. We'd love to see it. If you can drop it in the chat, we'll take a look at it and we'll play with it. Some fun. I love that idea, Daryl. Please see if you can drop the mem or drop the comment in here, and we'll see if we can't look at it together here. Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to jump in on that and say that I commend you in the reason I think we need it. We need spiritually based teachers. We need spiritually based educators, wealth managers, salespeople, psychotherapists. If we're not spiritually based, we're missing the main ingredient.
Yeah. And the deeper and broader we go, the better. Yeah. There's I think that's what the search for initially was in going from psychoanalysis into acupuncture, because I could see that there was like, I didn't have the words at the time, but I was following something that was telling me to do, like I was following a guidance. And so this is enough of this. We've got people upright and they're walking on the vertical very, very nicely. Everybody's got their jobs now. People have relationships now. Everybody's stable. Nobody's doing, wild things anymore. Nobody's going to suicide. Everybody was nice and stable. But then it's like, okay, now what? Now what? Now where do we go? And, there was a nice parallel process that was occurring between me and my patients. And it was my job, I guess, and both professionally and personally, to sort of, continue to look for other paths, for healing.
Yeah, I kind of make that analogy a little bit to what we're doing here. And we created this space really to help people through the pandemic. Really to create a place, a virtual sanctuary, if you will, for people to really come and share their emotions, share their feelings, share their story. And what I was doing is attempting to help people cut through the drama by sharing some spiritual truths from my tradition and what I call the wisdom teachings of Jesus, and create the opportunity for people to heal in the process of what we were going through. And now that we've gotten through it mostly, it's still not completely resolved, but at least we're seeing an opportunity. So now how do we lean more deeply into our spiritual nature, our divine self, our authentic nature, to continue to grow and thrive, and not just for ourselves, but really as a prosperity coach, and to look at saying, how do we now begin to come from this new place of awareness, of truth, of abundance, of prosperity that we all live in a way that we can begin to build economic structures and social systems that benefit everyone, which is the beauty of capitalism if it's used from a goal. Unfortunately, we live in the darkness of living in capitalism with a scarcity perspective. So we've created structures and systems that are very destructive and destroying and benefit only a few people. Yeah. So we've gone through all that. We pushed that wound open, and we've seen the truth. And now we need to love and support each other through what do we do with that? And that's exciting. And it sounds like that's what you're discovering as a Sufi, is now that they're not on the ledge anymore about to jump off a cliff. They've actually realized what a wonderful person they are, and they want to live. And then how do we help them to reinforce that? Is that an accurate?
That's largely it. But there's even what you're saying in terms of this pandemic came along, and you took that opportunity in this, what can be perceived as an awful situation, and it is an awful situation, but there's also something amazing that can come of this.
It is, yes, exactly.
And if it's not, then that shame on us, shame on me. If this didn't grow me some way. And that is the work that I insist on doing. That's the work that I pray for everybody that I work with, and that, whatever comes your way, don't waste it.
Exactly.
Don't waste it.
Yeah, exactly. I posted that famous quote from Scott Peck, and I'll just kind of paraphrase it. And basically, life is challenging and life is difficult. And once we accept the fact that life is difficult and challenging, that's the nature of life. Then once we fully accept it, that's the way it is. But then it quits being challenging, difficult, because that's the way life is, and we just accept it. It doesn't matter because how we feel about it. So we might as well feel good about it,
right?
And enjoy and turn those into opportunities, right?
Yes. When we think it's supposed to be different, then there's a whole that's a whole thing that's in the way.
And that was what was in the way of all of us. I mean, we thought God was against us. We thought the world was out to hurt us. Everything was against us. Everything was a challenge. If we had a challenge, it wasn't an opportunity. It was like, oh, I knew the world was against me. I knew this was against me. I knew I'm a loser. I know that I'm a loser. That's all that shadow sick thinking that we all have. It's not necessarily sick. It's just the way we think as human beings. But we need a guide, someone who's had a spiritual awakening, if you will, to guide us all out of the darkness.
Right. If I may, I can even say that I had a very, very dear friend of about 30 years. He was like a guy I got sober with. We spent a lot of time together. We spent our lives together. It was like everything but my husband, practically. And he actually suicided a couple of years ago. And I had a choice to sort of be in the crisis of grief, or I had to turn that into something that was going to enliven me, that the death of this beloved friend became something, like he was somebody whose kindness came easily to him, and that was the thing that I was going to take. Not the saying, not the loss, not the harshness of the loss, but how can I bring his kindness into my heart and let him live within me, and let me do this loss differently. I don't have to get depressed. I don't have to go into the darkness. How do I do this? And like, that's the kind of work that I want to do. Like, how do I can take the worst experience of my mind into something that can sort of make my heart and my soul enlivened and more full. So for me, that's transformative, from the grief into a deeper kindness.
Wow. I'm trying to post this and it won't let me do it. Somebody sent me a post. For some reason, I can't post into my own chat window. I don't know why, but I can't. So what you can do, Daryl, is if you just copy and paste it into the chat, you can do it. I can't. I don't know why. StreamYard is funny, but I just tried to post your meme into the chat and it won't let me. But if you copy and paste it, I bet you could, because you're already pasting things into it. So those instead of sending, just to copy and paste the picture into the chat, and we'll see what it says.
The meme on grief.
It's a meme on, let me see if I can see it here. I can't see it, but now I'm curious what it says. Okay, let me just read it out here, okay? That might be the best way to do it. It says, the work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That's how much gratitude I can give. If I can only carry grief, I'll bend toward cynicism and despair. If only gratitude, I'll become saccharine and won't develop much compassion for other people's suffering. Grief keeps the heart fluid and soft, which helps make compassion possible. Francis Ward Weller. Very
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I equate that to my own quote called, it's about compassionate truth. And it says that compassion without truth is meaningless, and truth without compassion is mean. But when you put compassion and truth together, we have the power to change the world. And I think that's what they're saying there. We need the dark and the shadow. We need the contrast in order to be challenged and to grow and to prosper and to thrive.
Agreed.
Now, we're coming up close to the half hour, and it's up. You and I you led me a little meditation before we started, and our show includes a 20-minute meditation. It's up to you. I'm used to doing it. I'm happy to do it. But if you'd like to lead the group in whatever meditation you typically lead, I would love that today. Lead us in your meditation of 20 minutes with the group. I'll turn that over if you're comfortable with that. If not, I'll be happy to do it. But I would love it if you would just, something very similar to what you and I did when you brought me into Heart Space before we went on live.
Okay, I'm game. So what I would suggest is, landing first, to sort of get into the chairs and feel the back of the chair, just really get into.
I'm only gonna add one thing so that people use. I'm gonna add an insight timer to it, so that people can wake up, and it goes off every 5 minutes to wake people up, and it's just to keep time. Everything else you can run, okay? I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes so that we can all. You're on track. I'm on track with time. Is that good?
That's good.
Okay.
I'm going to do my style of.
You just do your style, and we're just going to have a little bell come in every few minutes and wake us up and keep us on track. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to be a little different than what you're used to. So I want to keep us on.
That's fine.
That sounds good. Okay.
That's fine.
So it'll go and you'll hear it, and then you take it from here.
Okay. So just sort of. Got it. So I'm going to start with a prayer called the Fatiha. And this prayer is, the intention of the prayer is to open our hearts and to open the crown of our heads, to allow the divine to sort of come on. It's an invitation. Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. Next is calling in the prophets and guides. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ibrahim Rasulullah. Musa Rasulullah. Isa Rasulullah. Alayhi Salatullah. I think what I'm just going to ask from this place that we open our hearts without effort, without trying, just allowing our heart space to open. And I will say, I will ask my higher power, God, Allah, however, whatever divine name you want to choose, to say, this is all I have. This is what I've got. It's pretty good. It's a good heart. It's a big heart. I'm going to ask, I'm going to open my arms just a little bit wider and ask if you can fill me with your love. Because what I came in with is not enough. I need more. And when that's full, open your arms more and ask for more. There's only so much I have on my own. Please fill my bowl. Please fill it with your light and your love. And just allow, without trying, no effort. Just allow that to come down, making our hearts bigger and wider and deeper. Just remembering why we're here. Sitting with the big heart. Feeling the back of the chair, trusting the back of the chair. Allowing the support. Holding and holding. Hmm. Hmm. And if you can, if you feel moved to, whatever symbol that you have, that you use for connecting you to something bigger than yourself, whether it's the sun, the moon, or the sky, or the ocean, or the cross, or whatever it is, a symbol, whatever that symbol is that you hold in your heart for divinity, that resonates that piece of you forward. Take that symbol into your heart. Place it in every cell of your body. If you can do it all at once, or if you have to do it part by part, everything, whatever grabs your attention, put the symbol on it. If there's a thought, put the sun or the cross or the moon or the Alim on whatever it is that gets in between you and being in the big heart. Remembering that place in us that knows what's true, that guides us. A quiet voice. It reminds us of the goodness inside of us. And the abundance and all that there is to be. Get distracted, see if you can come back to your symbols, your signs, divinity. It's from this place you can ask the divine questions. Where we make our pleas. And a place where we listen. place where the heart bows. And divinity in ourselves. Mm.
That's one more last final wake-up bell to wake us up out of our thinking so we can fall back into that wonderful heart space. And there's our final bell. What a lovely, lovely, lovely meditation, Colleen, you led us into. Thank you so much for doing that. I understand this idea of politeness now. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm going to try really quickly to do something. I'm going to try to post this in a different way, this chat here. I'm going to go into this. Hold on. And see if I can get this to post in a different direction here. I'm learning how to work all these instruments here too. So let me copy image, and now I'm going to and I'm going to try to comment. No, it won't let me either. No, it won't let me post that. I don't know why I can't post that into the copy image. Post image. Nope. I don't know. Again, I don't want to waste any more time trying, but I can't. I'm trying to get that in there, Daryl, but I don't know what. I'm not technically smart enough to be able to do that. And Audrey wants to say thank you. Thank you, Audrey, for joining us today. Yes, thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing your story with us, giving us some insight into the Sufi mystical healing world that you're sort of part of. And I want to ask you this. So for people listening, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to find out more about what you do, how you might be able to help them and help them in their journey with being a Sufi healer?
It's through my email, cmgcsw@me.com.
Well, I'm going to see if I can type that in. Hold on a second.
I can put that in.
Let's see if it lets you. So you're just typing it to me. Let me try it.
It's a private. Okay.
What's your email again?
cmgcsw@me.com.
Yes. cmgcsw
@me.com.
at me. I will post that up there so everybody can see it. So if anyone is looking to get in touch with Colleen, if you've experienced some of her wonderful meditation leadership today, I'm so grateful for that. Particularly, I love it when people lead me in meditation. It's just a joy. It's a delight to just let go and let someone else take the reins.
Little surprised by that, but
that's the way I know. It's okay. We live in the moment. We live in the heart, and it's okay. I know you do fine. Mm-hmm. So thank you for doing that. And just stick around for a second. I'm going to just close us out here, and then we'll have a conversation backstage. 1 second, okay?
I want to say thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I love doing it. Thank you for coming here and sharing it with me. I knew we'd resonate. I knew we have so much to bring to the world, and we all have a different way of presenting it in a way that's different people understand. But today, for me, it was just a delight to have you be here and also to lead the meditation for us. Okay. And again, I just want to say too, as many of you know, I am I'm a spiritual teacher, and I'm a prosperity coach and a mindset coach working largely with gay, bi, and trans men. And I have a workshop that I'm doing at 1 o'clock today for that community inside of our Facebook group, Financial Heart Space for Gay, Bi, Trans Men. If that's you and you want to find out more about it, we're talking about how do we, today we're talking about the power of mindset, the value of having, how do we cultivate a prosperity mindset and why we need that, why it's such a vital tool to creating a prosperous business. So if that's something you're interested in, please tune in to that at 1 o'clock. And also join our club, join our Facebook group. It's a group specifically for gay, bi, trans men. And the reason why I keep it just to men is because that's the area I know. I don't know how to work with women, really. I do shadow work. And the interior of a woman is different than the interior of a man, energetically. So I just stay in the wheelhouse, in the lane that I'm comfortable and know how to work in. And everybody's happier in that way, I think. So I think we all need to know what we can and we cannot do. I tried, and it usually ends up in sort of an argument. That's disastrous. So I like to stay in my lane where I know what I'm doing. I'm not a therapist. I know one thing, and that is shadow work and contemplative practices. And that's what I stay in, and that's what we do over there. And I know how to do that with men. So that's why we keep it in that lane. So thank you. And thank you so much for being on here, Colleen. It's been such a delight getting to know you and having you join us today. So without anything else, I am going to sign off with may love and prosperity continue to prevail across the globe. Thank you.
Amen.